And of course, it's just to beef up security in this particular police station or area, which has witnessed a series of unrest since this activity kicked off early in the morning. Of course, this is a development we'll still be following up to also get to inform our viewers on what will be transpiring as tensions continue to rise here in Mbere North. Also, we have had other chaotic incidences in some other polling stations. Of course, just to mention about a few, we had some queues where CS Roku was blocked from entering Kanyuambora polling station earlier in the day, and of course, residents also nabbed voting materials from a border guy and burnt it at another police station also here in Mbere constituencies. Of course, as you can see, live pictures outside Kisiakago police station. Of course, police officers taking instructions on how, of course, to maybe handle these particular situations. Now, on the other side, we've seen the young people have started retreating, as earlier they were trying to approach this particular gate, and now with the increase of police officers in this particular area, we've seen they have started retreating. Everything now seems to be calming down, and of course, we will be following up to find out whether the situation will finally settle down or it will escalate. Kagina, back to you. We'll still here, of course, in anything, if anything comes up, we'll be right here to keep our viewers up to speed.
Hello?
Safi.
Well, the pictures coming live to you right there are those of a police car with concealed number plates. This, of course, being contrary to court orders that clearly stipulated that police cars should not have concealed number plates. Of course, that arrived there with the red beret unit of the police, that being the General Service unit officers who are working hand in hand with the National Police Service, ensuring security in such areas and polling stations which have proven to be a bit chaotic. And as that continues on ground this evening right here, I'll be joined by guests who will be discussing and delving into more on this matter by election. Allow me to introduce them. From the very right, we have Joshua Kimani, a lawyer. We also have at the middle, a lady. Of course, here we are adhering to the other gender rule. Two-thirds gender rule. We have Sophie Nje here right there, ambao tutakuwa tukishirikiana now and diving deeper into this topic this evening. But we are not alone. As I promised, studio tuko wengi sana. On the other side of studio, we have Fatma Chidagaya. Fatma Chidagaya akona wageni pia. Fatma, who are you with today?
Thank you so much, Kagina, and for you, my viewer at home, thank you so much for sticking it right here on K24 TV. We have been following the live coverage of the by-elections from the time the polling stations opened at 6 in the morning until now. But now we shift gears to give you a perspective of the voices that are shaping the future, the voice and the visions of the Gen Z. So whether you're scrolling, whether you're tweeting, or whether you want to hear it directly from the Gen Z's manifesto, you are at the right place. And of course, I'm not alone. I am joined by a group of very admirable and, voice of the future. I am joined by a bunch of Gen Zs, and I am going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. So obviously I'm going to start with the gentleman who is right adjacent to me. You can introduce yourself and then pass the mic.
Thank you so much. My name is Evans Moshanga. I'm a lawyer by profession and also a youth leader in Kikuyu constituency. Thank you.
Welcome, Bwana Wakili.
Thank you. My name is Iteo Haisia. I am a law student and a civic educator.
Karibu sana Ijeo. Next.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having me today. My name is Timothy Turunga, a lawyer and a youth leader in the United Opposition.
Karibu sana.
Thank you very much for having me here. My name is Karen Wamboi, and I am the Communication and Program Assistant at Election Observation Group.
All right, thank you very much. To the very end.
Thank you, Kagina, for this opportunity. I'm Ongoya Fidel Castro Hill. I work at Safina Party. I'm the Comrades President there.
All right, Karibu sana.
I appreciate the opportunity. My name is Ezra Omoyo. I'm a UON law student and a civic educator. Blessed to be here.
All right, so there you have it, an introduction right from the horse's mouth. So we will be hearing from them, their opinions and what they have in store for us. But first, let me take you back to Kagina.
All right, thank you, Fatma. Coming back to this end of the studio, allow me to start with the very people that we held and hosted here a while back. Very young people who marched out in the streets as youths, and they say they want change in this country. As events would follow, we then agreed that the only way to make change in this country would be to register as voters and actually show up during the elections. Sophie Nje here, we are seeing by elections that are currently going out in different parts of this country. Now, we have a very low turnout. Is this the change we actually wanted to see?
Well, first of all, let us consider that it is a Thursday. It is a working day. So you do not really anticipate the voter turnout to be high. But if you consider, for instance, the case of Mbeere North, they have a turnout of 50% plus of the voters. So that's very good. On the other hand, if you're asking about Gen Zs and young people, you realize that according to the Constitution, if there is a by-election in an area, they're not taking any new voter registrations. So when you analyze that fact and you see there are very few young people turning up, so you will see that we do not have new registered voters in those particular areas. So we cannot really take this as a measure of what will happen in the main elections, but I'm really happy that people actually turned out.
All right. Wakili, what do you make of the scene that we currently have, voter turnout specifically?
I would say that the voter turnout currently is alarming, with some places recording extremely low voter turnout. And this actually speaks to the frustration of the Kenyan people, because unfortunately we were told that these elections would be free and fair, and in some areas they have been marred with a lot of violence, and that discourages voter turnout actually. And you know, even the Supreme Court has been at the forefront saying that actually that is a key ground for nullification of any elections. If that kind of violence actually results to voters not coming to vote because of the violence, then that's a key ground for nullification. But at the same time, the young people are also frustrated by the government and frustrated by these same monkeys in different forests, because we are told there's a change that is going to come, but when you look at how things are being done and how things are being conducted, you can't detect any change. So I feel there's still a lot also we can do as young people, also sensitization of young people to continue registering. But as you said, there's still not that opening in those specific areas for new voters to come in. But definitely in 2027 it's going to be different. Yeah.
Before we come to the issue of violence, back to the issue of young people. You know, Gen Zs and their seniors, millennials. From the people who showed interest in these respective positions, for example, the very hotly contested areas, we have, we'd say, a good share of representation of youth. But the conduct in these regions we are seeing, it's becoming a bit tense and a bit chaotic. Are we just seeing new monkeys joining the same forest and the other bunch of monkeys in your language?
It is a bit tricky if you think about it, because unfortunately as a country we have not gotten to that level where we are capable actually of producing good leaders. I have come to admit that, though it is painful to admit it, because unfortunately we have these political oligarchs who are still controlling the people who we elect as leaders. And those are the key problems that I think we're going to discuss. Because you have the state, one, coming in with a lot of money from the state, that money that is part of our taxes. Then they pour it to the citizens, give a lot of money. We have, again, other leaders who have been accused of corruption, you know, gross corruption and multi-million scandals, again, coming into these campaigns, and they finance those campaigns very heavily. So that ensures that any young person actually cannot be able to penetrate to that race. Because I want you to imagine Kagina, for example, a very young person. If you tell me to get like 100 million to bribe people, where will I get that money? I have not stolen any kind of that money. And we, unfortunately, as a country, are still not yet ready. The citizens are actually the problem. Because until that day when we will learn that actually the leaders the leaders that we choose are our decisions and they are a reflection of who we are, that is the day we will actually be a safe country. But we still have a very long way to go.
I'll be coming back to, I have more queries about what you've said. But let me start with this one, where you've said that as a country, we have no capacity to produce good leaders. Sophie, as one who has consistently shown interest in taking up a leadership position, do you agree with Wakili here? I was actually cringing when he said we do not have the capacity to produce good leaders. It's actually a really sad statement coming from a student of the law and a fellow young person. I feel like really he's just shown me that we really have a long way to go. But in reality, good leaders are present. But according to chapter 15,
IEBC is an independent institution. According to Article 88, IEBC is mandated to regulate, number one, what happens in the political parties. So they're mandated to actually sort of oversee the nomination processes to ensure that they are free and fair. They're also given the mandate to vet who goes on the ballot. And mark you, I said they are independent. So they are supposed to operate from a point of being non-partisan, being very non-biased to this conversation, in fact, apolitical. So the people who are failing us, it is not the citizens, it is the body that is mandated to decide who goes on the ballot for us to choose from.
So you feel IEBC is failing Kenyans?
It is failing Kenyans. In this by-elections, IEBC has failed Kenyans. Mamudende is an EACC, like he has been proposed for prosecution by the EACC. But really, I would really want IEBC to explain why his name is on the ballot, yet he is being proposed to be prosecuted for a corruption case, a major corruption case that involves a national referral hospital. In fact, the biggest referral hospital in East Africa. He stole money that was supposed, he allegedly stole money that was supposed to give more oxygen to that hospital. So as a matter of fact, it is not that we are incapacitated to produce good leaders, but we are already short, we are already like disadvantaged, even from the people who are supposed to make this process free, fair, secure, transparent, accountable, and they are the ones who, in fact, are supposed to guard democracy. Because the whole point of having independent institutions is to promote constitutionalism and to promote the sovereignty of the people and to ensure that national values and principles are adhered to. So if IEBC is not at all performing towards its mandate, then we are already failing from the word go.
Wakili, these by-elections, as we've mentioned, are time and again used as the litmus tests. One, on how the political tensions are in the country, how the IEBC is prepared to handle elections. You've had Sophie's concerns. Do you trust how IEBC has handled these elections? Do you have confidence in them in handling 2027 to the best?
Thank you. I will respond to that as well as respond to what my colleague here, Sophie, has said. Sophie, we have to come to a stark reality of a Kenya that we imagine and a Kenya that is the realistic Kenya that we live in. The realistic Kenya is a Kenya that the candidate you're saying who has many scandals is the one who is going to win. And I would like to challenge you to wait and see the results. And it will not shock me that actually the candidate with the worst portfolio, the candidate who has the mega corruption cases, is going to be the one taking the day. So we still have a lot of work to do, I agree. But coming to your question, really I do not view today as a litmus test. Today has really turned to a blood test, if you ask me. Because IEBC and these political leaders unfortunately have already portrayed loss of confidence to the public. Because when you think about it, look at IEBC. Recently we had in 2022, remember the Cherera 4 coming out and the IEBC presenting a broken image to the country. Unfortunately, we have now this new set of commissioners. Even before they came in, you can remember we were raising questions about how they were appointed, how they were selected.
The godfathers.
Yes, you remember the godfathers, the political godfathers came into the picture. And we were raising questions about that. And they had this one opportunity to actually portray strength as a commission and to actually regulate these elections very well. But I would give them a 15%. They have not been able to do well. Because if you ask me, look at these places. Violence, tear gas being thrown in stations, but no single real action has been taken. They just give statements and statements and statements. But Kagina, we must come to the reality that statements are no longer useful. What we need is actions as a country. Because what we have as a consequence of these people who give statements is bad leadership. Because, for example, I would have expected, for example, we have a clear case of someone who has been, probably is being planned to be prosecuted on cases of corruption. Then the ABC should put them on a waiting list. I'm a lawyer, I know definitely there's the right to fair trial, that they should undergo the whole court process and everything. But again, at the end of the day, it is about the integrity of the voting process. again, we have these places where there is a lot of violence. What is the IEBC doing to stop those kinds of acts of violence? Because, like I said, those acts of violence actually even discourage the people who wanted to legitimately vote not to vote. So they make sure that they make it very, very difficult for anyone who wanted to vote. So IEBC is still not yet prepared. I feel there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And unfortunately, they're undergoing a test in the most difficult court, the court of public opinion, the court of public confidence. And this trial is very, very difficult. And so far, they have started on a very low note. So I don't know what they will do before 2027, but from this point, going onwards, I think the public does not have a lot of confidence in the IEBC.
Well, just to remind our viewers that you can continue following what is transpiring in this country right here, where we are discussing and following up on the by-elections happening throughout the country. And you can tell us what you make of this by-election through our WhatsApp number, as well as through our social media platforms at K24 TV, at Kameme TV, on all social media platforms. And just to go back to something that you mentioned, what is IEBC doing in regards to the violence that we're witnessing? That is one question. Number two, you raised an issue earlier where you said state machinery are coming through for, said specific individuals and bailing them out or helping them to campaign. So it will be difficult for young people to actually match up to that. So I'll take you back to a while back where in Kasipul constituency, where IEBC did summon two of the leading contestants, that is Boyd Were and Philip Aroko, on violence and actually fined them $1 million shillings. And I do not remember IEBC saying that the young man, Boyd Were, did not afford to raise $1 million shillings to meet the fine. So my question comes back to you. Is IEBC really doing nothing? And are the young people fully and entirely helpless?
So I will begin with whether IEBC is doing nothing. Definitely IEBC is not doing, I have not said that IEBC is doing absolutely nothing. What I have said is actually they have really big shoes to fill. They have really big expectations to fill. And from their performance, if you ask me, they're not doing very well. Because, okay, it is okay that you have witnessed violence in these places, you have called the candidates, and you have fined them. But Kagina, what we need is real and actionable steps. What I expected to see, if the IEBC was serious, was even disqualification of some candidates. Because if you are indeed triggering violence even before the election, what will happen if it is post-election and the results are not announced according to how you would like them to be announced? Then definitely a lot of violence is going to come into the picture. And it has really gone bad to an extent where vehicles are being touched. We saw today vehicles being touched, not one, not two. We saw even members of parliament. You can imagine members of parliament being injured seriously, physically. So that speaks to the readiness that I'm saying that IEBC still has a very long way to go. Because like Sophie said, Article 81, Article 88 gives the IEBC this sole mandate to actually guard this whole voting process. So when they fail on guarding this voting process, then definitely it is not going to go well for us. Again, are the young people completely helpless? I would say that we as young people have a very, very long way to go. And that's why I'm really appealing to young people. We need to believe in ourselves, and we need to approach this culture that has actually grown in our country of political dictatorship. Political dictatorship in the sense that we expect these same monkeys to come and control who is going to be our next leader. Why can't we as young people believe in ourselves and actually say that we are going to run a bribeless campaign? We're not going to bribe anyone. Because if you say you want Joshua to bribe you, I don't have money to bribe you, then automatically you are saying that you need that person who has stolen money to come and bribe you. Again, then we commit ourselves to saying that we want accountability. We want good leaders who are actually able to deliver results for the people, because the people have concerns that are real. And IEBC, that's why I'm saying IEBC has a lot of expectations to fulfill. Because when we speak about good leaders that our country needs, these are not the kind of leaders who cause a lot of violence on an election day. I mean, I keep on laughing at a fallacy of the president saying that Kenya is heading to a first world country. It doesn't make sense. A first world country where we have these scenes of this kind of violence on an election day, we still have a long way to go. So the young people are not completely helpless. What we need to do is to unite behind a common purpose. We need to chart a common path for us all, and that way our country is going to grow.
All right, Sophie, young people, do you have the money? Do you have the muscle?
First of all, it is upon IEBC's mandate to regulate campaign financing. It is part of the constitutional mandate to set a cap for this is the amount of money that is supposed to be used by a candidate whilst they are campaigning. Today, every day is a learning day. Today, I actually learned that you are not allowed, constitutionally, campaigns should start 3 months to the general election. But in this country, we are campaigning 24/7, including the president, and using state machinery to campaign. So if at all IEBC was doing its duty, then money would not be a factor to me as a young person. It would just be about my agenda, about my manifesto, about what I have to offer to the people. But with that loophole where there is no cap to how much money a certain candidate can use whilst they are campaigning, that is why we have issues of voter bribery. So am I ready? Do I have money as a young aspirant? No, I do not have money. So how am I going to curb that? It is in fact to involve my constituents and the people I want to represent in this process. How? I come to you and I tell you, this is my budget, this is my campaign budget. I need posters, I need t-shirts, I need fuel, I need people on the ground, I need agents, the agents need food. This is my budget. So help me come up with this amount of money to be able to move my campaign forward. Secondly would be, in each of my meetings, I come out and I'm open with you, and I tell you, if you're sincerely expecting me to give you money, I do not have the money to give. Because the person who is giving you money, their first agenda when they get to office would be to refund the money that they gave you during this process. So where are they going to get that money from? They're going to use your money meant for development, meant for bursaries, meant for health, to benefit themselves. So it is a matter of civic education. Whilst I am campaigning and my fellow young aspirants are campaigning, it is our duty to educate the public on the detriments that come with accepting handouts and allowing to be given money that essentially has come from your own. Because, for instance, the Auditor General just told us that State House has so far in the past 3 months used 4.3 billion, which is 2.7 billion on top of their budget, the annual, the budget for the entire year. And then you hear stories of 700 million being dished out in one constituency. So where has the 700 million come from? Then you hear stories of 300 B disappearing from, are we that shallow that we cannot do the math? Where are these people getting the money from? It's obviously coming from us. I'd lastly like to say on the issue you asked my colleague here about the appointments issue. In fact, according to the Constitution, an IEBC commissioner should not be holding a state office whilst they're being appointed as a commissioner. But we have one by the name Anne Derito, who was the office, she was in charge of the register, she was the registrar of political parties, and she stepped out of that role once she took office as an IEBC commissioner. So if we are actually talking here, we should actually be talking about election reforms that should involve reforming the entire IEBC. I think that should be the beginning point.
Kagina, can you allow me to make a small rejoinder? It will be very brief.
Okay.
Sophie, I think we need to focus on what we can do and not what we expect other people to do for us. What am I saying? There are so many expectations on institutions, on people, individuals, the president, and many other people on what we want them to do for us. But Kagina, today I'm challenging young people. What can we do for ourselves? Because, for example, this culture of corruption, Sophie, we need to be realistic. When you go to that young person there in the ground, you will not be shocked to find them giving their ID to receive 1,000. And then after the election, they are going to get that ID. You will not be shocked, and they are a young person. And you see, we are speaking about we want young people to show up, but we are not solving the real issue. The real issue is with us, the community. And that is why I'm saying...
The real issue is hunger. Young people are hungry.
Exactly, and that is what I am saying.
What can we do for ourselves in this
What?
case?
Yes.
So what can we do about our hunger? If
But
that's what you're trying to say.
you need to understand that actually when you give out that ID, you are selling your 5 years.
True.
All right, we'll be coming back to that conversation, but definitely several things have been mentioned right here, including how the young people are not very much financially muscled up to match up the current electoral system in this country. It's interesting to see that part of the goons that we were seeing live pictures on camera in Mbere are also youth. Sophie says the problem is the youth are hungry. Is that what you think it is? Keep sending your feedback to us right here on our WhatsApp number as well as our social media platforms. And now, a while back, not so long ago in Homa Bay County, Police Commander Lawrence Koilen has confirmed that so far 15 vehicles used by armed goons have been impounded and 23 have been arrested as security agencies heightened the crackdown to deter mayhem. He also confirmed the recovery of the stolen gun belonging to Opondo, who is Kaluma's security guard. Let's hear what he had to say.
My colleagues, good evening. My name is Lawrence Koilem. I'm the County Police Commander of Bay County. We want to appreciate the far we have gone in our exercise of providing security coverage, the by-election which was being held today at the Kasipul constituency. We started the operation yesterday. Since the time the items were taken to the polling stations, yesterday evening we were here, since morning, throughout the night until now. So the exercise began well today morning until about 10:30, 11 in the morning, when the aspirants were expected to go and vote in their respective polling stations. It happened that the area MP for Homa Bay Town, Honorable Kaluma, went to receive the aspirant at Korosare Primary School. So when he was waiting for him to arrive to vote, that is when he saw a convoy that was coming. So the MP thought that it was their aspirant. So he joyfully went at the gate to receive the MP, only to find out that it was the independent candidate, Mr. Honorable Barogo. It happened so swiftly that, in fact, officers were not able to comprehend what happened. Because when he hugged him, then his bodyguards, in quotes, the goons, strangled him down. When he fell, he was hit by a stone at the back of the head. And when the bodyguard now was trying to shield him from the strangling and the assault, he was also struggled down and he fell, and his weapon was taken away by the goons. We want to condemn the act of violence or assault to the MP in the strongest terms possible, because at this age we don't need to experience such acts of violence. It was an unfortunate act. That act escalated tensions among the constituents and the people, but we want to appreciate that we swung into action immediately, and we tried to bring the tensions down. And during our operation of bringing the tension down, we were able to arrest some of the goons whom we believe were among those who assaulted the area MP for Homa Bay Town. And During our operation, we were able to arrest a total of 23 suspects. That's in quotes goons, and able to confiscate about 15 vehicles and 2 motorcycles. Currently now, the area is very calm. What I can say to the people of Kasipul is that now the area is calm. Counting has started everywhere in all the polling stations. And I want to call upon the people to be rest assured that the process has gone on well, we thank God. And let us remain calm and wait for the counting from the tallying, from the polling stations. And then I would ask that we allow the IEBC and all those that are concerned to do their work, and wait for the results patiently at home. I know you have done what you have done by electing you are the leader of your choice. Let us now wait the results, and we remain calm even after the results. Otherwise, we have also been able to recover the firearm.
Well, indeed, that right there is Homa Bay County Police Commander Lawrence Koilan updating the country on what transpired that led to the injury of Homa Bay Town MP Peter Kaluma, as well as the snatching of the gun of his bodyguard, who by people that the police commander right there is referring to as bodyguards, aka goons. And now we are not alone on this side of the studio. Earlier on, you interacted with Fatma Chidagaya with a youthful panel on the other side of the studio. Fatma, upande wako wanasemaje kuhusu mada ya siku ya leo?
Yeah, asante sana Kagina. Thank you very much. Umetupatia sasa fursa nipate kuambatana na mbogi yangu hapa. We're just going to, reflect a thing or two. I mean, Kagina, right now, the polling stations closed at 5. At this particular time, the votes are supposed to be tallying, but look at what is happening. Mbere North, kuna altercations. Kasipul, kuna altercations. We just want to find out what exactly is going on. Where are we headed as a country? But the best people to tell us that, niko nao hapa, the voice of the future, that is the youth. So I want to start with the comrade president of Safina Party. We're having problems with politicians today, so let me go direct to a politician on stage today. You said your name was Fidel. Fidel, you can switch it on? All right. Yes. Are you a registered voter? Let's start with that.
Yes, I'm a registered voter.
You are a registered voter.
Yes.
So what can you tell us about the turnout of the Gen Zs today from morning until now in terms of these by-elections?
Starting with the by-elections, I can say that this is an incontrovertible litmus test to what we expect in 2027. And it shows you that unmistakably, this is a barometer of the national mood. It shows you where the country is headed. As we do this, this stands as a way of demonstrating that the regime or legacy politicians who are not working are headed towards their political twilight. Why am I saying this? It is a way of debunking how people will vote, as this is just a mirage. Going to Gen Z turnout, arguing with facts and statistics, we need to realize that once you are registered now, you cannot vote in a by-election. It can only happen that you vote during a general election. That is how it happens, unless you had registered early. So we do not expect Gen Zs to come and vote. But let us look at the percentage of by-election turnouts. The highest percentage Kenya has had is 56% in the last by-elections we had. So until we have the numbers we have, I cannot insinuate that the youths have not turned up, because we are blaming this thing on Gen Zs, yet they are not registered to vote for the by-elections. These people are gearing up towards the general elections. So that is one thing we also need to talk about. I've heard Kagina speak about goons. I usually say this, it's either you are wise or you are otherwise. If you hear a politician who is aligned to government saying that there is goons, that is someone who is otherwise. He does not have drops of wisdom in him. Why am I saying this? We were looking at social media in the morning, and you were seeing goons and related to MPs in Nairobi escorting people in Kasipul. It has also been called out by politicians and leaders such as Odoyo Widi that people who are employed in Homa Bay County, some of which have been arrested and their cases are ongoing, are the people who are leading goonism in Kasipul constituency. So these are acts that are perpetrated by these people we call leaders. Otherwise, their real names should be dealers. So this is one thing we also need to focus on. Let us not just blame the goons. Government has realized that people do not have money in their pockets. And it's for that reason that you cannot blame a youth who goes and takes money to do those heinous acts. That is why, as the youth, people who went out to the streets, I usually say this, even as we are conducting the by-elections, you went out to the street because you did not have money, simply translated to poor cost of living. The people you are aligning with, are they able to solve the mess? That is what we should be using this by-election to test against. But you know also, the by-election will show one thing. If the ratio to which the broad-based government and the opposition meaning we have a section calling themselves United Oppositions, and we have general Kenyans who are not interested in what the government is doing. They want a total overhaul and shift into the political system. If it turns out that this other side of the divide wins, given that ODM and UDA lose, then expect that Ruto will be going home on the last day he serves, not the morning. He will be home. That is his political toilet. So that's how we are supposed to be projecting this thing. Okay. But also, as I finish in a nutshell, Gen Zs who went to the streets, and not only Gen Zs, everybody went to the streets. If you do not have your ID, then you are just a joker. You cannot complain that you don't have food, and when you are going to the streets, you are just carrying water from home. Go take that vote of yours.
All right.
And stop complaining.
Okay, thank you very much. That is Fidel. Fidel is the comrade president for Safina Party. I got that right, yes? That is Fidel. And Fidel just gave us a few insights. And I want us to go to Kariobangi North in Embakasi North constituency, Nairobi City. And they've already started tallying the votes. We had 16 contenders for the member of county assembly. So let's try and take a look at these pictures from Kariobangi North.
Next, Julius Minor Joker, UDA. Julius Minor Joker. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 019, 19. Christopher Wandera Ochieng, Safina. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 0, 1, 1.
16 contenders vied for the Member of County Assembly seat in Kariobangi North. That's where the pictures were coming from. Tunaisabu sasa Tallying imeanza. And we sure as hope security has been beefed up in that area because we don't want any more altercations. That is Kariobangi North in Nairobi County under the Embakasi North constituency. So, as we continue with our conversation here, we heard from our comrade President Safina Party. Now I want to move on to our lady there at the end. That's Karen. Karen is from ELOG, IEBC Election Observer. Karen, how are you today? Is your microphone on? Yes. All right, so that's very good. How are you today? Thank you very much for joining us, Karen. First of all, first question, are you a registered voter? Yes. Let me assist you with the microphone, if that's okay. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, Karen, now we can start. How are you?
I'm fine.
You're fine?
Yes.
And welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Are you a registered voter?
Yes, I am a registered voter.
Okay, now thank you very much for joining us being an IEBC observer today. A lot has been said about the IEBC. The term being this is a litmus test for IEBC. Obviously, I'm not going to ask you to comment on IEBC, but I'm going to ask you to comment as a Gen Z for the fellow youth that you've seen today. The turnout was not very good. Yes, Fidel explained to us that many of them are not registered voters. Why do you purport that is?
I'm not going to talk broadly, but I'm just going to give a view based on what we've gained as observers today. So one thing to note is, as ELOG, we did deploy a couple of observers in some region, not all. Some regions like Mbere North, Ukambani and Narok, and yes, the rest, I would want to say that we coordinated with some of the members of our organization to give us intel based on what they observed. And I think one of the biggest things that we did pick out, since I was part of the data center, meaning that we were the ones receiving the information based on what our observers were giving, is that based on the pictures and the videos we were getting, most of the people who are coming to the polling stations were actually old people, but that is not enough for me to say that young people were actually not voting. So one of the biggest deduction I can make is that the IBC has not given us segregated data on how many people were expected to vote in those regions, and what does this data look like in terms of gender, in terms of young and old people. Yes, so that's the only thing I can say as of now.
All right, thank you very much. If you could just pass the mic to Ezra. Ezra, am I getting your name right?
Yes.
Karibu sana, Ezra.
I appreciate it.
Are you a registered voter?
I am.
You are?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining the show. Karibu sana. Please feel free You can talk as freely as you want. This is a safe space. Kumbuka cinema mbogi, cinema boys, cinema beste, right? All right, so talk to me about today, the by-elections that we had from 6 in the morning until now. And the unfortunate bit is in areas like Mbeere North, in areas like Malava, Kasipul, even in Magarini, we did witness some altercations. We did witness some problems here and there. Our very own public service, yes, Ruku was thrown out in Mbeere North for attempting to, I don't know what he was attempting to do, perhaps to oversee the elections and all that. What is your view as a representative of the Gen Z, of all this that have happened today?
Okay. In truth, there's one thing which we ought to understand. Every action in life is backed by incentive. What I mean to say is, youth participation in the election in and of itself has to have like an incentive matters like the impact in their lives in itself and the consequent change they get to experience, right? So as at now, what exactly do we face? Youth participation, ideally, is hinged on them knowing that their interest will be met, right? So for the people who have already voted, why would they not vote, for example, right now, is a matter of them feeling betrayed by the system that they had trusted in previously, and consequently seeing the failures, they'll have lesser incentive in participating in that very, very process that seems more performative than actionable, right? For the people who are yet to vote or first-time voters, ideally, they'd feel like it's a matter of already seeing the betrayal that is happening and knowing that essentially you will not have your interests met. You have lesser drive towards going to the very, very system that you do not trust. Matters like violence in this voting system that you've seen, for example, during today's by-elections. The problem with being in our world is that we do not exist in a vacuum. There's this saying that it's no measure of good health to be adapted to a sick society, right? But it's circumstantial, and youth, as has been cited, are people who are really, really falling low. Matters like, should I say, economic strength, right? So the incentive given to them matters financing, and the few who are not really a representation of the whole, who get into this, despite painting a negative image of the youth in general, truth is, it's a matter of circumstance. You are in a sick system and you are forced to like survive, right? So in a sense, they are forced to like try and display their interests. And the problem is these are people who are being used by political aspirants who are using them as a, should I say, a vehicle that means to climb the political ladder, so to speak. So that in itself paints the dynamic of the youth in matters like the elections this far. All
right, but wouldn't you agree with me if I said rather, the inability to vote is actually a vote casted? Okay. If you don't vote, you have actually voted.
Yes, they're saying that if you are not for, you are against, right? But here's the truth. The understanding of the average youth, in my opinion, is that we have a system, right? And this system serves a purpose. And ideally, it is a question on whether your ballot counts. While you might conform to the idea that not voting essentially does work against your interests, but now when it is that the system has proven over and over again, despite you trusting in, say, for example, the IEBC and, should I say, the security forces in ensuring that there is safety and, a method, or rather, should I say, a level of sobriety in conduct of this very, very process. So consequently, it is true that not voting in itself works against your interests, but if voting in itself has proven not to actually satisfy those interests, because the system in itself, we're talking about like, vote rigging and trying to manipulate this system as much as we can, such that these people do satisfy their political interests. So at the end of the day, the feeling is that even if I do vote, at the end of the day, fact remains that the system will try, and the players in this case, the stakeholders, will try field their interest. And considering that they have a level of influence and power and a manipulation ability, it then questions your whole power matters controlling what ends up playing out.
All right. Okay. So 3 options. 1, either you vote. 2, either you don't vote. And the third option, we'll tell you after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Meg TV, Muthi Waruriri.
This is AFCON, my friend. Everything is a competition. Everything.
The family meets for AFCON 2025. To book your seat, dial *423# to get or stay connected to DSTV access for only 1,450 Kenya shillings or GoTV value for just 599 Kenya shillings. Live on Supersport.
As you wait for your call to be picked, here is today's inspirational quote. Life is a roller coaster, full of good days and bad experiences. We must learn to accept finite disappointments, but never lose infinite hope.
Ili kuset never